Hey everyone, Mr. Mom Collectibles, and I am back with another video. And today I want to talk about my DIY muscle racks that I got from Walmart that I built. I just want to give you guys an overview of how I built them and some of the modifications that I've made. This is actually my second go around. I had a previous pair that I got rid of and replaced with this one. But first and foremost, please consider dropping a like on this video and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the content. And leave a comment below if you built your own DIY display and give us some tips and tricks that possibly you get passed on to some others. Now, first and foremost, I want to give credit to the person that I discovered the muscle rack from, and that is Costa over at Pop Culture Living Room. He's been doing some great stuff over there. And so I just want to give him a shout out. I'll link his channel in the description below. And like I said, I will link the products that I got. These muscle racks, I have two of them. I actually got from Walmart. I can't guarantee the pricing will remain, the same. Prices fluctuate all the time. But like I said, everything that I used in this, I will link in the description below. Now, this is one of two that I have. That's my larger one. That's about 60 inches in length. And this is the smaller one, which is 36 inches. Both are 72 inches tall. The smaller one is only about 20 inches in depth, I believe, around 20. And the bigger one is much deeper. It's around 24 inches in depth. So I wanted the deeper one so I could, display more figures in. Now, a couple things to go over. This I got from Walmart. Like I said, it is just a gloss black. There's different finishes you can get, like a gunmetal gray, things like that. But once you get it, it's pretty simple instruction to be put together. The one thing you got to consider is your shelf spacing. So for me, I only put two shelves in. I don't count the top one where you see all the ectomobiles, but I have two that I inserted. And then the next thing you have to consider is how your wiring system is going to be run. Like I said, I have lights, LED lights that are hooked up to a Wi-Fi adapter, and you have to kind of plan out how you want your lights to be run. Because one of the things you have to consider is notching out the corners, as you see there. So what I did was I notched out the corners to actually feed the lighting through. And so there's a little bit of planning that you have to consider when building this. You can build the racks as is, but then you have to take into consideration the lighting and how you want to actually run them depending on the lighting system you use. Like I said, mine are just regular LED strip lights that kind of crisscross. If you see here, this is the bottom piece. This is kind of still in progress, but I have a power strip there that I have the main plugged into, and then it goes right across here. I'm following with my finger, and then I notched out the corner. It goes up and it goes around. Then and you can see right there, it runs back up again and underneath the actual cabinets. And they're held, you see the little strips there. There's two lighting strips per shelf because of the length, and they're held in with some magnetic stripping that magnetizes to the shelves. But like I said, I notched out the corners, and then I wrapped the shelves in bed sheets, which is pretty standard, which a lot of people are doing. And one of the things I get questioned on is when I wrap the bed sheets, well, what do you do about kind of like felt and stuff? And I'll show you guys that in a moment. But what I did was I didn't wrap the sheets fully on the underside. I only wrapped it right to the edge. And the rest of it, I just painted a matte black. So the underside is actually a matte black paint, which takes really well. Two coats, nice and durable, and it really traps the light in very nicely. So like I said, when it comes to the shelving, people ask like, you lint and things like that. Because one thing you'll notice is that I don't have any front plexiglass. And this is a little tool that I have. It's just a USB powered vacuum. And I turn around every so often. I just kind of vacuum up anything that I see, any hair, lint, things like that. They're actually pretty dust free as is. I don't really accumulate a lot of dust in here, which is nice to have. But like we said, one of the things is you don't see is that there's no plexiglass. So I left that actually off. I was going to do plexiglass, but it ends up just being a lot of, too costly. And right there, you see my DIY wooden risers, which I'll make in a separate video to really maximize the shelf presence and the amount of figures I can stick in one shelf. So I'll do a later video on those when I get around to filming a little how I built those. Just made out of some leftover wood and some materials like that, and it allows me to really maximize the space, as you can see, with the amount of figures that I have. I have one for my Star Wars shelf, I have one for my DC shelf, and then I have one I made three of them, and then I have one for my Marvel, which I use with all my Iron Man figures and things like that. And I'll continue to build more as needed. But anyway, getting back to the system, like I said, you build a shelf, notch out the corners, plan your lighting system, pretty standard. Now, one of the things I want to give credit to is Connor over at the Hot Toys Hotline, because he and I were building ours almost around the same time. And I know a lot of people use like really thin paneling, but he had the idea of using actual plywood, sanded plywood, which I actually kind of borrowed that idea from him. So credit to Connor over at Hot Toys Hotline. We were kind of doing them at the same time. So my sides are actually plywood. I have the back panel and the side panels. So mine is enclosed on three sides, and I leave the front open. And I really think it helps kind of bounce the light around in the casing itself, which is really great. And how I have it held together is basically with just some 3M screws that I had left over from previous builds. Sizes vary. I honestly used what I had with between washers, nuts, and bolts. With the slottings on the racks, it really allowed them just to kind of slide in. And when you turn the lights off, like what I did just here, it really, really encases the light a lot better. So there's no lighting on in the room right now, just the lighting from the actual LED lights in the cases. So I think it really, really balances the light well. And there's my lights are on a dimmer, so I can lower them, raise them, however you need be. But one thing, like I said, I want to show you guys is, like I said, there's the plywood, and you see the bolts there. They're just 3M bolts. Like I said, the sizes kind of vary. I just used what I had. But one thing I also used, and it wasn't for weatherproofing purposes because it's not fully encased. Now you see like the screws right there, just giving you guys an idea. But I bought some, I believe it was like 1/4 inch foam. And you'll see, I'll show you theirs in a second. Just there's the other bolts. Just giving you an idea of how I have them bolted in. Use washers, and I use nuts on the other side to hold them in. But you can see here, the paneling for the most part's pretty flush, except for the top here, how it kind of bows out. It's not going to be perfect because it's wood, but I used a thin, like a foam. It is weather stripping to prevent, but I layered that first. So when I actually installed the paneling for the most part sit flush. Because in previous racks I didn't use the foam padding, and the pressure from the screws were kind of pulling on the plywood. So I just tried to balance that out. It wasn't for dust proofing purposes. Like I said, I have no front panel on this whatsoever. It was just trying to like kind of keep it a little more sturdy when I was installing the panels. But like I said, painted everything black, matte black, top, bottom, the sides, everything. The paint applied perfectly, only 2 coats just to make sure it was really good. And like I said, that's my Star Wars shelf, and I just repeated the process below for the DC shelf. And then the bottom shelf is kind of scarce, just empty, more flex space for the moment. Like I said, I have a lot of stuff coming in, vehicles and other figures, but it really allows for the versatility of the figures that I have coming in to play with the space. Eventually, I'll be moving all this stuff around and kind of separating my Star Wars and things like that. But this is just giving you an idea what the strip lighting looks like. They're just white lights. Like I said, there's 2 sections that are daisy chained together because the paneling, the shelving is such, the racks, I should say, are wider. So just, 2 per shelf. So that's 2, 4, 6 that I bought. I'll link the description of where I bought the lights from. But like I said, LED lights that are hooked up to a Wi-Fi adapter, and I control it through an app on my phone. That I can turn the lights on and off. The pink light is there as well. That's all hooked up to just an app on my phone. You just flip it, turn it on and off. And this is the main rack that you see behind me whenever I'm filming videos and on live streams and stuff. And then the top section I just use for flex space. In this case, it's my dedication to Ghostbusters and all my various Ecto 1s and Ecto 1As that I have, which is a nice look. And like, I eventually have the Jazz Inc. Batmobile coming in, and I have a lot of versatility. Like I said, I have this smaller one, which is, flex. I'm still working the progress. I still have figures all over the place. I got to clean up and put in, but I have 2 racks right now, which houses all my figures. And I do have some additional space behind me for another muscle rack, which I probably eventually will be getting in 2024 to expand the collection. But as I said, this is just giving you guys an idea of what I did. Nothing groundbreaking, nothing really, I would say, original. Just trial and error. As I said, this is my second go around with the muscle racks. I had 2 smaller ones before, and just trial and error on them. They were a different color. They were like a gunmetal gray. So I got rid of those and swapped to all black and kind of learned some do and do nots in the process. So I know on stream, I've been asked, people think they look like Module cases. Definitely not when you look at them. They are built. I want to say they cost, 200 or less per all in. But just giving you guys like a recap. Like I said, you got to notch the corners, plan your lighting out, wrap your shelves in either kind of a bed sheet or something like that. Doesn't have to be bed sheet, could be some kind of other material. I just did a bed sheet because one sheet can do multiple shelves. I didn't do the top one. That one I just painted black. So really, I only wrapped the 2 shelves that actually have the figures on them, as you see. And then one other thing I just want to note is on this one here, I haven't done it yet. You can see here, I'm just kind of going over the same tricks used, but the lighting here actually is a white cord. I haven't replaced it or covered it up yet. That's still one of the original ones, but what I did was I went on Amazon and bought like a cable management, like a black sleeve, as you can see here. And I just basically stuffed the cable inside just to try to keep it a little more discreet. And I just zip tied it just to kind of keep it in place so your eye doesn't gravitate towards it for the most part. But like I said, guys, I do appreciate taking the time to watch the video. Hopefully some of these tips and tricks can maybe help you. If you're building a muscle rack, like I said, I'll link all the things that I used in the description to this video. I do appreciate the support as always. And once again, this is Mr. Mom Collectibles saying take care, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you and have a great day.